Hey, Nora, I am just so excited we're finally getting into this. Hollywood's golden age, man. It's like it's always been this mythical place?
Oh, absolutely, Mark. Me too. I mean, who isn't fascinated by that era? Like, it's all glitz and glamour, right? But there's so much more beneath the surface, isn't there? That's what I love about it.
Yeah. I mean, we see the movies, the iconic stars, but I feel like we only ever get the glossy, the highly produced version of things. And what we're really trying to do here, I think, is, well, it's to pull back that curtain? See what's really going on.
Exactly. That's the whole point of Hollywood's golden age unscripted stories. We're like diving deep into the backlot, the executive offices, the actual lives of these legends. It's not just about what was on screen, it's about how it all came together, the struggles, the crazy stories.
And the very beginning of it all is just fascinating, Nora. Like the studio system, it's something we talk about, but I don't think a lot of people really grasp how all-encompassing it was. Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't think so. It was truly a machine. I mean, we're talking about an era where a handful of studios, like MGM, Warner Bros., Paramount, they owned everything. And I mean everything. From the talent to the theaters themselves. They were, like, vertically integrated, right? They produced the films, they distributed them, and they even owned the movie palaces where they were shown. It's just wild to think about that level of control today, you know?
It's mind-boggling, actually. So if you were a star or a director or even a grip, you were essentially owned by one of these studios. You didn't just work for them, you belonged to them. Is that how it was?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, actors especially were on long-term contracts, sometimes 7 years, and the studio had all the power. They could lend you out to another studio, change your name, dictate your public image, even like tell you who you could marry or date. It was total control.
Wow, that's intense. So no real artistic freedom then, for the most part? Or was it more nuanced than that? Like, were there any loopholes, ways for people to express themselves?
Well, it's complicated, right? Because while the studios had immense control, they also like fostered talent. They had their own acting schools, voice coaches, costume designers, writers on staff. So you had all the resources, but you were definitely working within their framework. Creative expression often came in subtle ways or through the sheer genius of certain directors and actors who just found a way to make it their own, you know? And speaking of actors, the whole idea of star making, that's where the studio system really shone or became a bit notorious, depending on how you look at it.
Notorious, huh? Tell me more. I've always heard stories, but what was the actual process like for, say, a young, unknown actor back then? Trying to make a name.
Oh, it was a finely tuned machine, Mark. First, they'd scout talent, often from theater or modeling. Then, if you had the look, they'd sign you. But it didn't stop there. They'd literally invent your persona. They'd choose your stage name. Think of Lucille Lesor becoming Joan Crawford, or Norma Jean Mortensen becoming Marilyn Monroe. Like, huge changes.
Marilyn Monroe. I mean, that's a perfect example. And the studio they'd control everything, right? Even beyond the name?
Everything, from your hairstyle and makeup to your posture, your voice, even your backstory. Publicity departments would craft elaborate narratives about where stars came from, what their interests were, to make them appealing to the public. It was like a total image makeover, sometimes even fabricating entire life stories to fit a specific persona they wanted to sell.
So the whole idea of an authentic celebrity, that didn't exist then, did it? It was all curated.
Pretty much. And the pressure? The pressure was immense. These stars were like constantly under scrutiny. Studios had morality clauses in contracts, meaning they could be suspended or even fired for anything deemed scandalous, even if it was just a rumor. So a lot of their real lives, their personal lives, had to be kept super secret.
That's crazy to think about. So if you were let's say, a closeted actor, you had to maintain this perfect public facade your entire career, or risk, well, everything, I guess.
Exactly. Like Rock Hudson, a huge heartthrob, right? He was gay, but his entire career was built on this straight, masculine image. His agent, Henry Wilson, worked tirelessly to keep that secret under wraps. It was a constant performance, on and off screen. And that's just one example of so many.
Wow, it really puts a different spin on the glamour, doesn't it? It's not just about the movies. It's about the personal cost to these people who were, just trying to make a living and do their art. But their art was so entangled with their manufactured identity.
Totally. And for every big star, there were countless others who never quite made it to that level of fame, but were still under contract, still trying to navigate this incredibly demanding system. It was a meat grinder, honestly. And you had to be tough to survive it.
So all this intense system, it obviously produced some of the most legendary films we still watch today. Like, when you think of the Golden Age, what's one film that immediately comes to your mind, Nora, that just screams Golden Age?
Oh, that's a tough one. There are so many. But if I had to pick just one, I'd probably say Casablanca. It's just like the quintessential golden age film, isn't it? Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman, the incredible dialogue, the romance, the stakes, it's just perfect.
Yeah, Casablanca is a brilliant choice. And, I always loved hearing the little tidbits about films like that. Like for Casablanca, I remember hearing that they didn't even have the ending written when they started shooting. Is that true?
It's absolutely true. The actors didn't even know how it was going to end. Ingrid Bergman famously said she didn't know which man she was supposed to be in love with because, like, the script wasn't finalized. They were literally rewriting pages sometimes the morning of shooting. It's wild to think such a classic was made with that much uncertainty.
That's amazing. And it just goes to show that even within that rigid studio system, there was so much chaos and brilliant improv, and just people working their butts off to make something incredible. And it worked.
It totally did. And then you have all these unsung heroes behind the scenes too, who don't get the same recognition, like the phenomenal costume designers, the art directors who built these incredible sets, the writers who churned out those sharp, snappy dialogues. They were all part of that magic, that really made the golden age shine. So, Mark, thinking about all this, the control, the star making, the incredible films, what do you think is the biggest legacy of the golden age that still impacts us today?
That's a great question, Nora. I think it's a twofold legacy, actually. First, obviously, the sheer volume of timeless stories and cinematic artistry that still holds up. We're still watching these films, still learning from them. But the other part, I think, is the mythology it created around Hollywood itself. This idea of larger-than-life stars and a dream factory. It's still so ingrained in our culture.
Yeah, totally. And it's interesting because even though the studio system as it was then, it doesn't exist anymore thanks to the antitrust ruling in the late 40s. That idea of Hollywood magic and the celebrity mystique, it totally lives on. We're still like obsessed with movie stars, aren't we?
Absolutely. But now it's different. We have social media, we have a lot more access to celebrities' actual lives, or at least their curated versions for social media. So it's a different kind of unscripted, I guess.
Right. And that's why digging into the golden age, it's so important. It helps us understand where a lot of these modern celebrity tropes came from. It unravels some of the myths and shows us the very human, sometimes very messy, stories behind the iconic images. It's not just history, it's a lens for understanding today.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes this series so compelling. There's so much more to uncover, so many layers to peel back. I'm really looking forward to our next conversation.